Testing, 1, 2, 3. Just kidding.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Plein Air Easton 2020. This is our 5 o'clock happy hour edition of what was at one time Coffee and Conversations. This year we're calling it half decaf with a shot of cane. Welcome. We are here in Talbot Town. We'll be here from 10 to 8, or what's left of today, till 8 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow, 10 to 8, and then Sunday, 10 to 4. And we're trying to bring an opportunity to those folks who want to view at home the paintings that have been mostly produced, most all of them produced this year in the last 3 or 4 days here in Talbot County. If you see something you like, and you want to drive up, you don't want to walk into the building, we'll be glad to bring it out to the curbside and show it to you. If you live locally, we'll actually drive to your house and bring you the painting to your house if you want to see it. Thanks for watching. We're here today with a man who needs an introduction, but after that, I think he's just going to roll on and entertain you guys for the next 20, 25 minutes. We're here with Kirk Larson. Kirk, from what part of New York are you from?
I am from Hicksville, New York. That's a noun, not an adjective.
Kurt, how long have you been doing plein air here in Easton? You've been here a while. You've been here several years. And we know you as a kind-hearted, sort of gregarious, vocal, nice person. What do you like? Who are you?
Well, I'm glad to be back for my 7th time at Plein Air Easton. It's my 7th year. Took me 4 years to get in the first time, and then for some reason there was a little hiatus there. Maybe my entries didn't fit that moment, but I am so delighted to be back, and I'm so grateful you're doing this the way you're doing it. I would describe myself as a passionate, creative, artistic dynamo. I love writing, I love painting, I was going to say, you do more than just painting. You touch a lot of things. I'm a film and TV actor. Primarily, number one, I am a painter and a sculptor. I'm also a film and TV actor. I'm also a writer. I'm a gourmet chef. If it's creative, I love it. What's your best dish? My best dish is I make a red sauce that takes 3 days to cook and will bring you back to life.
That's good to know. 3 days to cook. Kurt, how long did it take you to discover and accept that you were a creative? Because that's not always easy. It's not an always easy path. Maybe it was for you. I don't know. I pretty much drew on every notepad and phone pad we had in the house. My parents were insightful enough to get me oil paints at the age of 7. A couple years break after that, picked it up in high school, went to college for illustration, and the fine art side was kind of dormant, so to speak. I didn't know that this existed. I always called it painting on location. It's something I wanted to do. It combined, plein air painting, in short, combines 2 of the greatest things on the planet. Which are? Being outdoors and painting. And sometimes you could be painting one of the most magnificent scenes, and you could say, it's kind of like stone soup. Oh, this is perfect. I'm outdoors, I'm painting. Maybe a beer would be nice. So that could add to it. Or some music. But if I'm by the ocean and waves are crashing, in the fall of 2019, I was at another event in Cape Ann, and there was a nor'easter. Right. And it's blowing 25, 35 knots, and there's no rain, and people are complaining about the weather. And for me, I saw this incredible opportunity. I got my easel down there and set it up so the canvas was aimed directly into the wind, and I painted on the rocks in the storm, and I painted that day. Sure. And that's like the ocean and painting, and you'll hop out and paint anywhere. I think you painted out in the parking lot. This beautiful painting we've got here. You were just painting. You you can pull that up, and Dina, maybe you can get a shot of that. This is interesting to me because I think a lot of people, this is the start of where are you in the process of this painting here? Because it's a little miniature that you're doing, sort of.
It's pretty much it. It's sometimes I bring this little miniature paint kit with me, and if I've got a little downtime on a movie set or waiting for an appointment or waiting for an interview, pull out the paints. It doesn't have to be anything. And if you take that pressure off yourself when you start, it allows you to, we good? It allows you to just get into the moment.
Can you talk about that a little bit more? You say it doesn't have to be anything, and that takes pressure off. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, this painting here, or we're going to get into that
That's
later?
fine, sure, yeah.
Okay.
What's the name of that painting? Do you remember?
A New Day.
A New Day.
And this was during the artist welcome. And I was at Duval Farms, and I knew that, am I pronouncing that correctly locally?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
And I got there early, and I knew the light was brighter and the shadows were sharper. And that wasn't going to last into the evening. So I did a watercolor of those brighter colors and a little bit looser. And then I was painting this knowing that the Eastern Shore skies tend to build. And they did. And throughout the process, I, as an artist, have to be willing to lose the painting, so to speak. In order to move forward, I need to make that next mark. And every mark cannot always be perfect. And so if I take the pressure off of that and allow myself to paint and do what I know how to do, then that can come out of it.
How long did it take you to learn that?
That's one of the longer ones. That's more of a life thing. It was actually a marriage of acting and art that helped each other.
Right, I could see that.
When I teach, whether it's a brand new, someone's never painted before, or someone who's an experienced professional looking to up their skills, they usually get the same first assignment.
Which is?
700 bad drawings and paintings.
700?
700 bad drawings and paintings.
I've got about 463.
There you go. And I remember your first one, and you are progressive. If you take a new artist and you try to paint a Rembrandt tonight, it probably won't happen. You might not even pick up the brushes. But if you pick up those brushes and are willing to make a mistake, and I use the comparison, you cannot learn a musical instrument, you cannot learn martial arts, you cannot learn to dance unless you're willing to mess up a few steps and hit a few wrong notes.
Sure, right.
The sooner you embrace that, the closer you get to what we as plein air artists do, which is go out there and we're willing to make a mistake. And then, during one of the grandest sunsets I've seen in years, it's moving and changing, and I'll tell you, this is very recent.
Right.
And having spent a little bit more time indoors than usual,
right.
To be out there and to be a witness to that kind of grandeur, and to have a brush in my hand, it brings me to tears.
Yeah, so you're getting a little emotional about it. That's great. It's great to see.
And I learned early on in this, in our lockdown, one of the last things I did before isolation was I was painting in Vermont, trying to paint snow, and things changed and I had it cut out early. But I showed this snow painting to the people I was staying with, and they had just been listening to news and they came out to see this painting and they broke down in tears. And they were so blown away. I believe the words were, "In the middle of all this, such beauty." And it put a comfortable responsibility on me, and that I knew that making art was more important than just me feeling good, and that it had so much power to lift somebody else up.
I want to try to kind of piggyback on that. Why, beyond the the fiscal side of it, why is it important for people to buy art, Kurt, in your mind?
There's a spiritual, personal, emotional part of a person that gets nurtured by it. Some people didn't grow up buying art and they don't even know about it. My mother purchased a watercolor. Now, I was already an artist. She was an artist. She purchased a watercolor in my early teens for $60. Right. And it was slightly abstract. And I was like, what are you doing?
Right.
But to this day, I can still recall the color transitions, and it made my mom happy. And whoever gets any one of these or any one of those, and I'm telling you folks, it's just so amazing what's in this room. So amazing. None of them need batteries. They don't need to be recharged. They don't have an on and off switch. And you hang something in your house. I collect art. I don't know if people realize, but us artists, even at times when maybe things are a little close to the bone than we care to admit, we still buy art. And when the sunlight hits it in the morning, it has a certain effect.
Sure.
Yeah. And when the evening light in my bedroom hits it at night, it has another effect. And not one painting I have ever gotten, whether it be a purchase or a gift or a trade with another artist, has ever let me down.
Right.
I have pieces in my living room right now. A shout out to Michael Fuller in Nova Scotia. He painted this wheelbarrow, I believe in Portugal. And the moment I saw it, I just said, that's fun. So it's not necessarily a level of acumen and accuracy, although it can be. It can be color relationships. It strikes you. And I say honor that. If something strikes you, get it. Dinner will digest. You can go out for a fancy meal, and I know that's kind of changed too. But the art doesn't change.
Right.
You know, I do remember you starting to paint, and you used to be a little harder on yourself, and I said, it's okay. And at this point, years later, you're able to articulate things about art because you allowed your own reaction to come out. You said, hey, I like this.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely been a growing experience for me, being around this was something I never thought, kind of like the opera or symphony music, I never thought I'd ever have any relationship with it, and it's been really a thrill and a joy to discover that part about myself, and I say that very humbly. Kurt, I want to ask you, I want to get to these paintings in a second, but real quickly, you've been here for previous plein airs, and you've seen this plein air. Obviously, it's great for the Avalon that it's worked out this week, and obviously it's great for the artists to be able to get to some kind of event that haven't been too plentiful this year. What, in your mind, are the differences between this year, and how is this year special versus the other years, which can be even extremely special because of so many things going on? I don't know if you have a point of view about that, or
there's a lot more of a response that evokes than I can cover in a 20-minute interview. Plain and simply, I'm so grateful that this happened. Even asking us for plein air pieces from home, and I understand I had the opportunity to bring something that was partially studio, but the Plein Air Easton collectors, audience, supporters, and volunteers, they're people that really love art, and I felt incumbent upon me to go out and make some art. And it turns out that on two separate occasions on either end of a week that I caught these sunsets that were so magnificent and reminded me of some very specific locales here. And to have an event to come to gave me focus and purpose beyond it. I already had focus and purpose, but as an artist, this is part of who I am. Many of us consider ourselves road warriors, so to speak.
Yeah, we've heard the term.
200. I was at the Grand Canyon Invitational in the fall, and I drove there, and you get a taste for the landscape. It's a long landscape. On the way back, one of my turns, I got on the highway and it said, your next turn is in 487 miles.
Right.
We don't have that here.
Right.
But it's taking in the light. It's, I guess, constantly painting, even at night. And the space that you've created here is well beyond my wildest dreams. I knew you were doing something temporary and safer, and as an artist who's also going to other events and I'm teaching a workshop, I want to come in with a clean bill of health. And you've provided a really awesome environment where I do feel safe and people are wearing masks and hand sanitizer. It's a little unconventional, but it's an unconventional time, and I applaud the Avalon, the staff, the volunteers for really rising to the occasion and once again being taking the lead on something at a very sensitive time and providing what is a really, really important nutritional element of our humanity, and that is the art. Even if somebody can't make it down here, there are people watching. I went live on Facebook this morning painting watercolors out on the dock.
Right.
And I apologize for the bad sound. I knew it was windy. But people were tuning in from all across the United States because it nurtures us.
Right.
It really is sustenance.
Well, Kurt,
okay.
No, go ahead. I mean, it's great.
The way you've segmented into days and areas, it was a wonderful concept to take the pressure off without awards, and there's that little awards. But on the other hand, I'm a big sailboat racer.
Uh-huh.
And what I love most about sailboat racing is it's not necessarily beating the other guy. It's that on any given day, given the conditions of nature, I or my crew and I can discover our best potential. And in this case, running down to the museum, going down to Oxford, there was another Oxford sunset, actually post-sunset, a time called the gloaming, that I went down and I worked on that, and that was my entry for Oxford, but it has sold, so if you like something, get it right away. And I went back to Oxford, and that other one over there on the Strand, it was transformational.
Right.
I'm glad to have that little push of some parameters because it makes me choose a subject.
Let's talk about this painting right here in the center. To me, I really want to try and get this one sold. That to me is actually, I have to give credit to my mom who commented on this painting this morning. She said that should be the winner, even though there's no winner. That should be the winner because it is so specific to what's going on in the world right now. I love the pandemic sign up. Do you have the picture of this, Nick, or is we're just seeing what Dina's focusing in on? I love the pandemic sticker up in there, and it just shows in that one picture the kind of,
They love that.
even though it's a big room, the quaintness of the festival this year compared to other festivals. And I think you kind of hit that pretty well. There's the pandemic stamp up in the tree. So I hope that does. I mean, and you've got some people down in there socially distanced. The people that aren't socially distanced are actually a couple, so they're okay. Just so you know, if you're looking at that. Just a wonderful, wonderful job. You want to talk about that a little bit real quick, or?
Well, this year's exhibit and daily pickup exhibits, after the artists paint the individual towns, their selected pieces that haven't sold come here for another opportunity for people to see them. So when I first arrived, it had a great feel to it. It almost felt like it should be here, and I was really pleased with it. And it represents so much for us right now.
It really does. It really does.
It represents the exhibit. It represents the continuing of art, the history and lineage of Plein Air Easton, And there's a few main people from the event that were in and out during this.
That's great.
And I thought, like, this is monumentous in terms of an icon, just like the Avalon is.
Right, right.
I said was because I painted the Avalon, that's all. But I pulled up and I thought, someone should paint this. And because it's just right now. It's this pandemic plein air. I love that you identified the elephant in the room and decided to take it home as a pet.
Yeah,
You know?
that's pretty.
It says
big move.
This painting purchased during COVID-19 pandemic.
Right.
Which is a reality we're all living in, and hopefully we're getting past it. And that's stamped on the back of all of the works. And I said, I want it right there in front. And I had it, I went outside, I did my sketch, and I figured I could work it into the tree. And the date is also up there.
Right.
And our obligations or assignments of where to paint were already completed. So what does an artist do when they're done with their obligations? For me, I relax and paint. I was painting before the interview.
Right.
And I settled down in the parking lot right out front, and I just had a really good time doing it. And it resonated with people because it's a moment in time, and it's a very particular moment in time.
Exactly. To me, that's what it represents as well. I mean, it really, really does. And you know, again, I want to not really compare, but the Strand here and the other view from Duval. We've talked about the beautiful sunset there, which you know, you definitely capture. But you have different styles, correct? I mean, wouldn't be as loose as, say, something up behind us. Is that correct?
Interesting that you should touch on that. That is something else about this year. I have, throughout my life, worked in multiple mediums and in different styles. I do abstracts. I paint live music in acrylics. I do abstracts in oils. Sometimes a little more playful, sometimes a little more serious. And I can do photorealism, but that's not what moves me.
Right.
And this year, more than any, I was out there saying, who knows what's going to happen, but I'm painting for me. I am painting for you, the audience. Trust me, I want you to be happy because it makes me happy to paint, and it makes me twice as happy when someone gets to take it home. But the other night, the nighttime one I did outside of Dock Sunset Grill.
Right.
That was, I felt it was more divergent. It turned out to blend in well, but I said, hey, this is for me. I got to paint what I'm inspired to paint.
Right.
And I've been doing a lot of watercolors, as I said, and this painting of the Strand is an oil painting that's actually done very much like a watercolor. I started to paint it, and when I had my sketch, I had the canvas, and when I drew the brush across the canvas on the first stroke, the colors started to blend like watercolor, and I instantly said, this is a watercolor painting in oil.
Uh-huh.
And I continued to paint it that way. And
it's very lovely, just, you know, impression of that area down there. Really, really, really well done. That one gets a little bit more. I thought of somebody. I think, and maybe I didn't think of it. Somebody mentioned, like, it reminded you of a scene in Europe or France or something like that. You know, you have there's something about your style as well. What about this boat down here, Kurt?
Well, that was my Chesapeake Bay Maritime Museum day.
Okay.
Sandwiched between painting in Tillman Island and getting ready to go to Oxford, I believe. There's a lot of driving.
Yeah, you kind of go like that.
And painting till some nights till 4 a.m. and some nights till 2. But I pulled up at the Maritime Museum, and I've painted there several times over the years. And I've painted just about everything on site in one form or another, and I know other artists have. So I asked myself, well, what do I want to paint? And I will go where the painting is. If that means, like my first time in Easton, the quick draw was 98% humidity and 99 degrees.
Right.
And the painting was next to a startup company called Rise Up Coffee at the time.
Right, yeah,
and
right.
it was out there in the sun, and I tried to move to the shade, and the painting was in the sun, and I said, I'm going to paint in the sun because that's where the painting is. Given the option, at the Maritime Museum, there was not much of a breeze, and they said, I would really like to paint in the shade.
Right, yeah.
And along the backside was, the backside of the boathouse, there was a transient boat tied up on the dock. And I kind of liked the brightness of the white against the dock. And yet, there was a ton of stuff hanging off the boat. It was really a cacophony of imagery and color. And I looked at it and thought, well, that's kind of crazy, but there's something weird in my mind that it just kind of calms me down. And I said, well, what if I painted all that stuff?
Uh-huh.
The logical part of my brain said, you're crazy. I've been to Easton before. I'm not getting a lot of arguments on that. And I decided that I would just approach it from shapes and colors point of view. But I knew I liked the shadow running down the dock, the progression of pilings, and it ended up being a lot more staccato and broad than my normal stuff. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Lon Brouwer in a way. But sometimes I like seeing his stuff. And to go back to what I said a few minutes ago, I'm going to paint what I want to paint. You know, this is important. And, you know, we're in interesting times, so to speak. And so what if my style changes? Which was a benefit of not having the normal structure.
Right.
And not having to reduce it to just 2 images for the week. I got to indulge the artist in me.
Right.
You know, I mean, you might love salads, and one day you like a steak, or you eat seafood all the time, and one day you're in the mood for Asian-style noodles.
Right.
That's what it was for me. This format, this opportunity to paint.
Well, that's a great outlook, you know, for sure. And, you know, you're very popular here, as we mentioned at the beginning. I want to just give you one more second to just, you know, invite everybody down to see the exhibit for the rest of the weekend. We're here 10 to 8 on tomorrow night, Saturday, and then 10 to 4 on Sunday. Kurt, take it away.
On behalf of all the artists at Plein Air Easton, from its inception till today, and in particular, us pandemic plein air artists, we're out there, we're creating art, and when no one's around, we get to drop the mask. But what comes through our hand and out the brush is not screened. And I can speak with certainty that if you come down, you will find something that resonates with you. If you're not comfortable coming in, they'll bring it out. You can look at it online. You can message a particular artist. There has never been a more willing, loving, nurturing group of people ready to bring art to you. And you put that art on your wall. It doesn't need batteries. It doesn't need to be wound up. It doesn't need to be plugged in. All you have to do is look at it, and it's going to give back to you again and again and again.
Thank you all very much. It was a great 5 o'clock happy hour with Kurt Larson from Hicksville, New York. That is a noun, not an adjective. We'll be back tomorrow, 12, 3, and 5 o'clock. Again, however you'd like to visit Plein Air Easton this year, we will accommodate you. Kurt, thank you very much. Great interview.
And remember, you deserve it. You deserve that piece of art. You work hard. You even if you did, you know, your life has been upset, you deserve that piece of art. You count. Thanks.
And you will look at it all the I could have a million people come up here and tell you how much you will actually enjoy it and love it for a lifetime. He's 100% right about that. Thank you all very much. We will see you next time on Half Decaf and a Shot of Cane.